Hello, what have we here?
You're wrong.
Damn!
What the hell was that?
Game over, man. Game over.
You're wrong.
You finished?
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Greetings, boys and girls, lemurs and squirrels, and welcome to the Week in Geek for April 8th in this foul year of our Lord, 2026, a wholly owned subsidiary of Free Range Idiocy, where we present our midweek dose of geekery for you, the people. Thank you. Sit back and relax as we scrape the best news we found off the bottom of the interweb shoe and let you know exactly how we feel about it. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the lead editor and chief bottle washer of the Week in Geek. I give you the man, they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. I may contractually require you to refer to me as the two-time fantasy football champion and soon-to-be guru of the bracket, bastion of the bracket. I have now not only predicted the Final Four, I have gotten the finals. UConn versus Michigan. I am about to embark on, once again, another journey of greatness, and am just very much proud of myself. I was mentioning this to my wife yesterday.
And she went,
and she just kind of looked at me like, "What is the matter with you?"
she's like, "What the hell led me to this point in my life? This is the chucklehead I'm spending the rest of my friggin' ever-loving life with." Son
oh my
of
God.
Okay, so two things.
Yes, sir.
You can try and contractually obligate whatever you want.
Sure.
First and foremost, you ain't the boss of me. Second of all, I don't care. And second thing is, you can now catch Tim on OnlyFans at Swarthy Chi-Town 43 because he just enjoys pleasuring himself like this on the interwebs.
Oh, stop it.
Gonna try and make a couple bucks off of it.
Just stop it. I am excited about the fact that I actually did well at this. I never usually do well. I will never probably do this again.
That's why he's going to be on OnlyFans at Swarthy Chi-Town 43.
Oh I got to take these off. They're fogging up.
Mark that, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
if you happen to be into,
do you have that domain, by the way, like registered, and you're going to check and see if anyone actually goes to it? Because
no,
there's nothing there, so I don't know what you're trying to.
That's the link you sent me.
That is not the link I sent you.
I didn't open it because, I don't need to mess up my algorithm.
Wait a minute. That would imply then that you go to OnlyFans on a regular basis. Or what are you saying, sir?
I'm talking about the overall algorithm.
No. I love it.
No, there's a certain tea maker on there. It's actually really worthwhile. It's only $1.97 a month.
There you go.
You got to support people. You got to support their passions.
And what about you, sir? I'm feeling quite underdressed. I'm wearing my Spider-Man T-shirt. I'm wearing my CM Punk zip up, and you, sir, have a tie on. What's that?
Nothing else.
I got shorts on. Sir,
just Winnie the Pooh in this thing the whole way. He's got a jar of honey right next to the bourbon.
I am seeing a vest. I'm seeing a nice shirt. A tie that is slightly askew, as if he's had a hard day at the office, sort of thing.
This is what I call the Adam Pierce after dark.
So, sir, what's the occasion for such pomp and circumstance?
We're
must
recording
say.
on Easter Sunday. Went with the fam today,
Nice,
and then we had other activities for the afternoon, and then we went out to dinner with some friends of ours after Kaylin headed back to Boston. So I just stayed in my Sunday finest the whole time because we were going out to a fairly nice restaurant, and then I literally stepped in the house. Kind of got.
Where are you going? You said stepped. I'm like, what'd you step into? Some cat feces on the floor. Or something?
Did walk through Portland.
But there you have it.
In the house, and got things set up for my wife for heading towards bed and all that. Got my stuff taken care of, and I was like, all right, see ya. I got to go talk to Tim. I ain't had a chance to do any comfy pants or anything, so this is what you get tonight.
Very nice. Very nice. Very cool.
But
All
yeah.
right. Well, No, good to see you, my friend. And we have, as always, with this episode, a few bits and bobs to go through. I've already kind of, I think, exhausted the NCAA bracket happiness that I'm going through right now.
That
so
like 2 weeks ago, sir.
Tomorrow night we'll find. Well, we're recording on Sunday, so Monday night we will find out if I have nailed the bracket 100% with UConn beating Michigan. We will see. But I am remaining hopeful.
Wait a minute. Did you have UConn, Michigan, or did you? I thought you had UConn someone else.
No, I had UConn and Michigan. So not only did I hit the Final Four, I got the finals, and now it's a question of will UConn, and as like a tiebreaker, you can provide a guess to the score. And so I think I went with something like 92 to 88 or something like that because I figured it'd be close. So we will see. We will see.
And we're recording another Monday.
We are
twofer,
back to back.
We will have that answer for all of our listeners on
at least
Friday.
toward the end of our Friday episode should, because the game is
will be late because the game will be over on Monday night. People waiting for your reaction on Friday. Yeah,
the game I think maybe starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Maybe probably not exactly on that, but nonetheless. But yeah, let's jump in.
Breast and a thigh of that.
Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping it a little clean on that one. All right. Well,
what'd you think I was gonna do?
I don't know where you go. You like to go into some questionable areas at times, sir.
Goes where I goes,
It goes where I goes, and I mows where I mows.
Yeah, sure.
Can we get a little Ric Flair here, sir, before we get started?
See, you already talked about that, but
Oh, there we go. Oh, there it is. There it is. Styling and profiling.
Check out these. It's got a little...
Very nice. Yeah, you are certainly a fashion plate, sir. Stop. Jet wheeling. No, kiss stealing. Jet
wheeling. Sir, God. You ain't even had no bourbon. You're shut off.
I've had no bourbon. I'm just drinking. I'm trying to finish up my matcha before I start. By the way, I did get this weekend at Costco the Big Bertha of Old Forester right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a big bottle.
Tell them that Marge sent you.
That's right. It's funny because I haven't actually had Old Forester in quite some time, and I say it's funny because when I got into bourbon during COVID, when you had kind of inspired me to try it and stuff, that was one of the brands along with Woodford that I started with, and so and there was a couple different.
I love how this podcast just serves as a decline of your habits. Just shows you slipping further and further into decline.
You've shown me the light, sir.
Yes. Join me at the bottom of the barrel.
Absolutely. So yes, but looking good, sir. The
feeling good, sir.
Jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun. So very nice.
So there was remember back in the day, well, we didn't probably watch this live, but there's videos of it when Dusty Rhodes, of course, Ric Flair is talking about all of his suits and his this and his that, and Dusty has the fur coat he comes out in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something he said, and then he goes off mic, and you can hear him as he's walking off mic, you hear him, "Quit your broke ass."
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
Freaking Dusty, man. He didn't give a rip.
No, he did not.
Right.
No, he did not. Well, speaking of wrestling, let's get into it. This week in the road to WrestleMania, and of course what we mean by this is events that have happened since our last episode. So basically a little bit of a recap of last week before we get into tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw.
I feel like it took less time for Israel to find a way from Egypt to the Promised Land than it does to get from like friggin' Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's like we're wandering in the desert. Not to get too biblical, but it is Easter, so
Phil wasn't kidding when he said that those bags under his eyes were going to have to carry reins for 7 weeks. So,
oh my gosh, like literally the math, because it feels because WrestleMania is like towards the end of the
It's actually
month.
it's 2 weeks away. So
Holy crap!
oh shoot! You know what I just realized?
What did you just
when is
realize?
WrestleMania?
It's like the 20th or something, isn't it?
WrestleMania 42 days.
Don't tell me you're out of town.
Nope, I'm going out to dinner with some friends that Saturday night. Oh my god. You got to be kidding me. Well, there's an easy
Cancel
way to
the
rectify
plans.
There's an easy way to rectify that. I'm basically going to be a sinner, and I'm not going to go to church Sunday morning and watch night 1 and then watch night 2.
I thought you were going to say, "Well, I'm sorry, honey, I can't go out. I got the squirts tonight."
Again, why must you go there? Good Lord Almighty.
Do I look like I actually think about what I'm going to say before I say it? Do I?
Dress like that, you do. You look like you're a man of industry in that outfit, my friend. Look at him.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's get into it. We got a couple things to go through. One that I thought was pretty well done, and the other was just let's start with our two main events. So Monday night, CM Punk comes down.
God, how sad is it that our main events are now promos? Like we just know that for the entirety of like one PLE to the other.
I would have appreciated if Punk had just come down wrapping his hand up, because I think that looks so much better than just having one hand already taped up. So I like he had done that for Survivor Series when Heyman kind of.
When he came out, I thought he did like one wrap with a tape, but it was mostly done.
No, it was mostly done.
Oh,
like he just kind of walked out. He took the belt off and he kind of tossed it before he got in the ring. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Punk, Charles Montgomery Punk, and Romanific Reigns decided to take some shots on each other. But this was definitely the week for Punk to get the better of Reigns, and to the tune of a power bomb through the table, a GTS, and then a power bomb through the table.
Have you ever seen Punk do a power bomb? I can't.
I have not. So that was kind of cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I absolutely loved about that was him sitting down next to Reigns and then going, Roman Reigns, and then he goes, Roman, punches him in the head. That was phenomenal. I was like, oh my God, that was great.
Okay, so two things. Number
Yes,
one,
sir.
Absolute genius.
Number
was. Two,
it was.
It gave me flashbacks, and this was and another thing for me, like probably 100 episodes ago now. It might be the and another thing for this episode, but there was a comedian, Robin Harris, and he talks about how, you know, he's starting his special. He talks about how he loves the blues, and he says, I don't know why, because every time my mom would whip my ass, she put on a blues record, and he says. She's like, hey, that record, I'll whip you when I wanna and kick your ass too. I do all these things because I sing. I love you, love you, love you. He's like, I threw that out.
Yeah.
But so when he's doing that, he starts. Well, it was great when he was just sitting there doing the Roman Reigns, and then all of a sudden Roman Reigns.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Chef's kiss, no notes.
It was
Perfect.
It was perfect. It was so
Unhinged
good. So,
Punk is kind of growing on me here.
I like it. And then and then when he got up and he just kind of had there was a little bit of a maniacal laugh going on there, and it's like, oh, we are getting, you know, old and crazy Terry Funk version of CM Punk here. Yeah. Middle-aged and crazy. Thank you.
He's not going to let MJF show him up on the other show where, you know, you took the tights and all that. No, I'm going to channel him. Like, this is a full-blown friggin' possession.
Anyone can dress up like him. Very few can actually, you know, do it and be convincing. So wonderful, follow up to the prior week with Reigns powerbombing Punk.
Wasn't that one of the things that Funk kept on doing, like right up till the end, was the drop toe hold?
I think so. Yeah,
and I think Punk did that with Samoa Joe, like in their Wembley match. I would love if he managed to pull that out, and be like, okay, the circle is now complete.
Yes,
it's perfect.
The thing I come back like last week as I was thinking about this main event though, and I don't know what your thoughts. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit. I keep going back and forth where the simple story to tell here is, you know, Reigns beating Punk and moving on, and I don't know what Punk does after that. That to me is kind of simple, direct. and may be where creative and TKO want to go. But then the other part of it is, it feels like there's too much of a good story here to build upon by having Punk, maybe through nefarious means because of the fact his age has been brought up and all of this other stuff.
Shenanigans,
ends up retains his belt, but somehow it somehow brings Rollins into it again as well. Like one of the things I feel like we're setting up for is Gunther has to beat Rollins because he's still, kind of he's still doing the career killer, gimmick here.
Mm-hmm.
So Rollins loses and then Reigns loses, let's say, both at the hands kind of Paul Heyman. Like let's say with Punk, there's a Paul Heyman aspect to it. I don't want to say 100% it's a Punk becomes the leader of the Vision thing. I don't know, but let's just keep it simple and say Heyman's involved. He screws Reigns. He screws Rollins. They're both looking at each other like we have a common enemy, and we have from April through to SummerSlam, where it can build to either Reigns and Punk again, or Rollins and Punk, or maybe it's a three-way with them. It just feels like there's more compelling story options, at least that I see, because if you go with Reigns winning outright at WrestleMania, who's the compelling opponent after that? Is it Punk again? Is it do they fast track Obafemi into the world title picture because he's on the he ends up let's say he decimates Brock Lesnar or something like that. I'm really struggling with what are the compelling options once we get through the event and Reigns wins, because he really hasn't when he had the whole back and forth with Bronson Reed and Bronson Reed beat him and everything. I don't know, it didn't really stand out to. I think they wanted fans to be like, oh, Bronson Reed beat Roman Reigns, but I don't think it resonated that way with everyone. I think it's like, okay, the Vision got one over on him, So I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Because it just feels like there's way more interesting things to do with Punk retaining, maybe turning heel, and getting pursued by Rollins and Reigns. Because that would be a different dynamic too. Like Punk has always been the good guy and Rollins has been the bad guy, and now Rollins is apparently, I don't know what he is at this point. We haven't seen him come out for a match. I don't know if he's going to come out with the over the top outfits and things like that the way he has in the past, or if he's going to be a more direct and streamlined sort of no BS sort of character. I don't know. So anyways, I've been babbling on here.
Well, thing is, I don't know. I think you're right. I don't see a lot of compelling storylines if Roman wins. Because again, okay, then, I mean, the only compelling thing there is if you do a return match.
Yeah.
But
you're not getting you're not getting length out of it. It's not like you're building to SummerSlam with Reigns and Punk. It's like it's going to be a return match, probably a Backlash, and then they move on to something else.
I mean, at the most you might get two, maybe because then if you somehow have Punk challenge, but somehow the title isn't on the line, basically okay, if you want a return match, you have to actually earn it. You have to beat me in order to get a match for the championship. Then you end up with this, you're a big fan of this, one guy gets one, the other guy gets one, then you got the rubber match. That determines. So I have no idea what's after Backlash, but you'd have a match there. But yeah, still it takes up a lot of time for not a lot of long-term return, Yeah. And the other options I can't stand. The only other option I could see is maybe if Roman does that, then you have Jay turning on him or something, and because he wants the championship back or whatever.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that he was ordering Reigns around, it's time for me to be the tribal chief or whatever, which, dear God, just spare us.
And honestly, if that's the story if they want to go with Reigns winning at WrestleMania and then it becomes this thing between him and Jay, I'm telling you right now, people are not going to lock into that. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like I have some kind of a pulse on things.
I love how you're I don't want to speak for everybody. I am now.
But I'm going to speak for everyone. It's the old Mr. Perfect Ric Flair thing. We hate to be the ones to say I told you so, but we told you so.
But
I'm gonna say it. Damn it! I don't think a Jey Uso Roman Reigns face off is very interesting, and we've talked about if they are looking to shatter, get off the pot with like Rock versus Reigns, but to your point, like, do we really want to go into a 1-year build where Rock is never around? I mean, it just feels.
Well, not only is Rock never around, neither is Roman. Like, do we want to go back to another world champion who is going to disappear for months on end with the belt?
Yeah,
leaving you with like handicapped with nothing for your upper echelon guys to even be striving for.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he doesn't have Heyman now. He doesn't have, I mean, he has his family, of course, but you don't have the bloodline as an entity.
Right.
So it's not even like he has proxies that can be there. It's just going to be no one.
Which has been Punk's point, is that you've not been, and I'm interested. I'm very curious that they've started leaning into this, because in the past, and I think I brought this up when Reigns was champion and the Bloodline was the big heel faction. That was something I brought up. It's like, it's funny how some of the baby faces don't really call out the fact that he usually needs all this help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been Punk's kind of theme throughout these promos, has just been, you've never been able to do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You've always needed help in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, the fighting champion, who is not. Now, I think they've taken an interesting turn. Well, I should say it this way. There was a lot of criticism about Reigns bringing out the fact he's old.
Mm-hmm.
I read even something this morning that Jericho, in an interview back in 2008, talked about, he thought he was being edgy early in his career. He was fighting a guy who, was on the tail end of his career. And so he thought he would make age, kind of a punchline, for some of the promos he was doing. And the guy talked to him backstage about why you shouldn't do that, because he's like, look, okay, you can play that card, but it's like, if I beat you, you look weak.
Yeah.
If you beat me, what have you really accomplished? Because you beat an old man.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
Mick Foley even talked about that in his book, where he was like, he never wanted to tear down his opponents, because then it doesn't mean anything either way. So I get that, but I wonder if they're using that, tactically, if there's a reason, if we're going to get some type of reason behind that. Cause like you pointed out, like, Roman ain't no spring chicken. He's like 5 years younger than Punk, which,
and you called it, you talked about what did you call it? Just for Men die,
yes.
Right? Isn't that what? Right. And no sooner did you say that, like on a Sunday when we recorded, but that Monday, the Monday after Roman made that comment about his age, that's exactly what Punk came out and talked about. It's like, which I thought was hysterical. So, Phil clearly listens to you.
Friend of the show, Phil Brooks.
I think he looked over to you at the United Center and was like, and a mental connection was created.
Thanks, Monkey. Appreciate it.
But I got to tell you, tactically speaking, right now, or not tactically, but just overall, I feel like this main event is way more compelling to me. Punk and Reigns. I mean, I know I'm in the bag for Punk, but like the way they're building Punk Reigns up is just more compelling from a comparison standpoint than the shat we're about to talk about that happened on SmackDown.
Dude, the friggin' ladies tag team 4-way match that they're doing is more compelling than what they're doing with the WWE Championship.
Oh my gosh. And I can't believe they're going this way. So
there's no reason for it. That's the thing. Like, I think I understand kind of what they're trying to do, but at the same time, it's like, this story writes itself.
Yeah. Yep. Now, let's start with last week's Monday Night Raw, because Stephanie McMahon made an appearance with the explicit purpose of talking to Cody Rhodes about the fact that he needs to go to a dark place if he's going to beat Randy. So I thought that part of what they were trying to do was okay. Of course, the funny part was they both traded lines about how neither of them are like their fathers, and the one for Stephanie stung a little bit harder, I think. So Not to mention some of the horrific, revelations that came out on Thursday about based on the victim, coming out with some more stuff. And I don't want to go too deep on that.
I just know more stuff came out. It was already pretty horrific. I don't know that I have stomach for more because it's not that I want to ignore this woman's story and how horrific it is and what an absolute trash human being Vince McMahon is.
Yeah.
It's tough for me. It's one of those things that it is very tough for me to talk about without becoming a frothing, raving mess because the investigation is gone. Like Vince McMahon will not face justice. I friggin' it. And I am hoping that here I am placing a reverse jinx on the entire thing. But the man has enough money and he has enough friends in high places that they managed to make a federal investigation. So I'm sorry.
All right, I don't want to get you fired up. So anyways, going back to Steph and Cody, what happened Monday was not where this story took a turn because I thought it was and it was correct to bring her into it because
I kind of thought we were heading in a better direction after that segment. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yes, because she of all people with Triple H had a run-in with Randy back when he was in this very, kind of dark place listening to the voices sort of thing. So she knows all too well about the experience of who he is when he's in that mode. And so I thought it was really a nice kind of callback to that history to bring that into it and, basically say you need to go to a dark place. And I like how they invoke Dusty a little bit because Dusty, that's what was interesting about Dusty is that he, for a period of time, I mean, early in his career, he was a heel with, I'm forgetting who it was. He was on a tag team. And they were known to be like pretty brutal.
Oh, it was a joke I made last week at one.
It's not shows. Bruiser Brody. It was someone else.
It's Dirty Dick Murdoch.
Oh, Dick Murdoch. Okay, so, and they were brutal. Like they were. I remember watching in the biography pictures they showed of them just blood. Like they were really a violent duo. And I think. Especially when Rhodes was going up against the Horsemen and Flair, I mean, it got to a very violent place with that, and they ran the whole gimmick where, they injured him and he was out for a while and then he came back. And so I think what's that?
It's where we got War Games, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. So I think it was interesting her invoking that to basically say like, your dad knew where he needed to go when he needed to go there, and you don't, and you need to find it within yourself to go to that place. That all I thought was great. But when we got to Friday with SmackDown and it was revealed that of all people, it was Pat McAfee. I mean, it's amazing how in one night you can take something that was looking really compelling and then you can turn it into a shiny, polished turd of a story that's
it's not even polished. It's like this is a sloppy pile of like corn and
awful.
Just. Now, I didn't watch the segment. Did you actually watch it?
I did watch the segment.
Is it as bad as I think it was?
It is because the reasoning that Pat invokes is that business is bad when Cody is champion, and they and here's the part I don't understand. The future is Randy, the guy who's got like a messed up back and who's pretty much on the last couple of years of his career. Like the story makes no sense. They're trying to turn it into Cody, you're bad for business. We need to take you out. Randy as champion is the way to go, and we're gonna right the ship. And we don't want like this part I just came out of nowhere because given especially the popularity of some of the the luchadors and stuff like that. Penta is not 5'5", but he's not 6'6" either, right? Mm-hmm. But he basically makes a joke about like, who wants to see 5'5" guys fighting in the ring? We want to see big guys and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at Pat like, is freaking Vince McMahon writing this? Because it's like that's the sort of mentality that Vince had. It was always the bigger guys and all this other crap, and
because Vince
and so
loved
just
bodybuilders.
it just made no sense. Like, why couldn't they have just left it as Pat? I mean, first of all, Pat's the worst possible choice for this, bar none, regardless of story. But fine, let's run with him being the caller. Why couldn't you just leave it as him reminding Randy of his those years when he was the killer, and being like, this is what you need to go back to being so you can claim 15. Like, that to me is okay. I get that. That's kind of compelling. That's kind of interesting. Bringing all this crap in about Cody and the business not being good and ratings being not great. I mean, it was just a bunch of crap where you're sitting there like, why are you trashing the product?
Yeah.
As part of the storyline? It just makes no sense.
So I saw a brief video of Mark Henry talking on Busted Open about this, and I think that Mark Henry was trying to connect the dots between a lot of fans who are the fans who are like, yeah, I miss the Attitude Era, and it used to be, during the Attitude, like big guys just smacking around other big guys, and anything could happen, and it was hot shot booking, and TNA or whatever part of the Attitude Era that you particularly loved, and I will say, excuse me, I will say it. If you were watching wrestling during the Attitude Era, like we were, because that was kind of like the prime time of when we were watching and when we shared an apartment, and then kind of like that was my reintroduction to wrestling. And when you had the comparison of, in my case, mid to late 80s as compared to the late 90s, or if you had been watching like 2 years before that, all of a sudden the product looked completely different.
Yeah.
This was like jarring. The only thing that was the same is that the ring has 4 sides. Everything else felt different, and there's always something coming up. And the fact is, like, the late 90s was a different time, folks. Like, un-PC, like everything else, like cutting edge, because at that point, like, Vince McMahon was literally in a point where it's like, well, I'm probably going to lose the company anyway, so what the hell? Let's
Vince's back was against the wall, so he fought back. Yep.
Let's throw everything against the wall, and whatever sticks, we're going to lean into that with everything we got, because we're up against a corporation that has seemingly unlimited funds, and fine, it was a whole thing. It ain't never coming back though. But I get where Mark Henry is kind of talking about, like, Pat is standing in for those fans, and that they're trying to kind of do this, like, the meta kayfabe thing now of, like, he's representative of the fans who are all like, yeah, bring back the Attitude Era, today sucks, and blah 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 blah. Even for that, to me, it's still lame. Yeah, because you're taking a story that should be the story of, like, these two guys who
they have a story, right? The story is already written for the two of them. You don't need to add anything more to it.
Yeah, and I mean,
and to do it 3 weeks before the event, out of nowhere,
and with
like
Pat,
it just felt very strange.
It's like, hey, we've got this guy who is now the legend in residence. Can we just now call that what, like, that's the new term for whoever is now the longest standing WWE guy, or I guess we could even extend it to AEW, except nobody gives a crap over there because they just, like, throw them to the wolves and people get hurt. But anyways, like, so the legend in residence, he is the last, he is that guy. Nobody wants to boo him, just like nobody wanted to boo John Cena, just like nobody really wanted to boo AJ Styles. Like, they didn't try and turn him heel or whatever. Like, nobody wants to boo the legend. So who are we going to put with him to make him boo him? We're going to bring in the Yahoo, like, feel good, golden retriever of the friggin' ESPN set, but we're going to turn him heel for some, for reasons.
Yeah.
and this will get the crowd to boo. Like, it almost feels like somebody's trying, like someone at the TKO level, either that or someone, either that or,
I was
or the
gonna
creative
I was gonna
level.
jump in that Cage Side Seats has reported that what they're hearing is TKO, really Ari Emanuel, stepped in and basically they forced creative's hand in integrating Pat McAfee in, because for the sole reason that they are of a mind of doing this sort of cross promoting, because it's all about the eyeballs and the dollars. So
Yeah.
Pat has been basically shunted into this angle for the reasons you've just stated, but mostly because they want to pull whatever listeners he has or viewers that he has to basically purchase the event. And
Yeah.
so you're 100% spot on. So this, from what I understand, and again, I mostly just read Cage Side Seats, but they've had several articles. I think they've had like 2 updates. They do these like morning updates, except for Sunday, and then I think they had an article or 2 about it, where it sounds like what they're hearing is this was injected in by TKO, mostly Ari Emanuel, because they wanted to, somehow bring more eyeballs to the event, which is now going to hurt the product, because this story is now taking a turn that is just not something that I'm compelled to want to, buy into and root for.
No. And here's the thing, and lest we try and make out, WWE, poor underdog, mom and pop shop WWE as the victims in this. This is what happens when you decide to just completely go for the moon, and we're going to try and max out ticket sales. We're going to try and max out ticket prices so that every time we're in the building, it's a new record. And
Which, by the way, they're starting to notice. I've been reading that the numbers for Vegas are not good. Like, them doing a second year in Vegas is actually not paying the dividends I think they hoped. So.
Well, no, and this is why they're going for the casual fans, because they're trying to be like, oh, well, people on the strip aren't going to show up and pay $500 for your nosebleed seats. It's like, but you keep on trying to max everything out. You're pricing out the average fans, which then makes you go into this hot shotting thing that, like, it's understandable when it's WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, let's get Cyndi Lauper involved. The Rock and Wrestling Connection. Because you're doing it for the first time. Ain't nobody ever, done what Vince did. Now, granted, there were other closed circuit kind of pay-per-view, pay-per-view things before. But you're talking about someone who's also, like, expanding nationally, which no one had ever done. And you're trying to launch this mega pay-per-view that you're eventually thinking you're shooting for coast to coast, which was, again, not a thing. Yeah, you're going to sell it on star power, on celebrities and crossovers.
Yeah.
We're 42 fracking years into this thing. You're running 2 nights for this thing in a football stadium. You're okay.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, well, it's not quite good enough. We got to make sure that we top last year. So let's try and wring every single cent out. This is the fracking problem in our country and in our world at large. It's all about the next quarter and just soaking people down, instead of like, hey, how is this business going to survive in 5 years? Nah, don't worry about it. We just need to pop the next quarter.
Yeah.
So you wind up throwing Pat McAfee in there.
Yeah.
And now you were starting to generate a little interest. You at least had people who are like, well, the build kind of sucks, but at least the match will be good. And now people are like, I don't friggin' care about this. Yeah. And I got to admit, I really don't either. Like, I saw this on like Facebook or something, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I need to go to YouTube and watch the highlights of that. I don't want to see this. It looks terrible.
I mean, Cody's response afterwards, which I did watch, was, he came in fired up and disheveled because he had been, kind of beaten around by Randy and Pat. And, he had some good lines, and that sort of thing. But it's the fact that we're going down this road. And, like one great line he had was basically like, making the point of this is the caller. He's like Pat McAfee showing up to help Randy Orton is like Hogan and or Nash and Hall showing up and announcing not Hogan as part of the NWO but Disco Inferno, and that got a pretty good reaction from the crowd.
Actually, because he's had some heat with Disco in the past, hasn't he?
Yeah, and then yes, he has, and then he goes on to say, and again, who knows, if this is real, him working some shoot stuff in or not. But he basically makes the point about how the last several WrestleManias have all been, really strong performances and stuff like that. Basically kind of making the point of you want to come out here and say that, I'm a weak draw or whatever, but here's the facts of the business. And goes on to then say that I know why you're here and who sent you, or kind of implying the whole TKO piece of it. And he had a really kind of good line, kind of shooting at that a little bit. So, I mean, I felt like his statements were, kind of salvaged things a little bit. I would not say fully, but it was reasonable given, like he was actually making points that I think fans who are not part of that group that Pat McAfee's trying to represent can easily, kind of glom onto. And so, but as we said, I think the larger point is you had an inbuilt story of two people where one was the student, one was the mentor. Now the student is a very capable main event talent. The mentor is on his last few years trying to, squeeze, or better yet, to use the Moneyball reference. I want to squeeze out of you the last bit of baseball you've got into you.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And now it's just taken this turn that just isn't needed. And, Pat McAfee probably would make it or will make a great wrestling heel manager sort of thing because he just has that personality, but Randy doesn't need it.
Well, but no, he has a personality, but people don't want to boo him.
And people don't want to boo him, and that's the other problem. Is they try to go this right? They try to go this road with it that people are not going to go down because they love Randy too much as the legend in residence, like you just said. So, all in all, this is taking a bad turn.
Now,
you okay if I move it forward, or do you have one more thing to say around this?
There is one thing that could save this,
and. Really hoping for The Rock to show up at some point.
Lord, forgive me for even suggesting this. That is the one way that this works out.
Is The Rock?
Is because apparently, so the thing that I read, and it might have come off Cage Side Seats, is that apparently and again, we're now dealing with this meta kayfabe, this other layer of kayfabe that they're kind of instituting that is trying to fool everybody. Apparently, that segment, Cody's segment when he came out and his rebuttal, if you will, basically had no label. There was no breakdown of what it was going to be. It was essentially like an open space on the show. And he was kind of told to go out and shoot.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. And the idea being put forth, or a rumor being put forth, is that was the WWE creative team's way of sticking it to the man, because they weren't happy with the orders coming down from on high. So they're like, well, we'll do this. Yeah. Now, the place that this falls apart, I will admit, is that much like I've said about Star Wars, when everybody freaked out about what Rian Johnson did, is like, it's not like this exists in a vacuum. Somebody signed off on it. There's no way that I see this actually being a thing unless somebody really, on the level of Road Dogg level career suicide is just like, I don't give a rip. I'm going to, press the button. However, if we are heading towards this, and if they're really trying to play this, the I know who sent you, if you're going to have if you're going to start playing the WWE versus TKO thing, because I mean, it's no secret that they are owned by another company now. Yeah. Who is the most likely on-air representative of said TKO, who has already said he's a board member? You have The Rock. So then The Rock is then pulling the strings of Pat McAfee and Randy Orton. But the problem here would be, you would then need a WWE representative. which would be Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen they are loath to go that direction, and I understand because, of course, we have the Mr. McMahon character, and that was iconic, and one of the greatest villains in wrestling history. However, the thing that makes me kind of go, Stephanie McMahon shows up on Raw, and then we see Triple H. And it wasn't like it seemed like a last minute call for Triple H to jump out there because he had to have been pretty close to ringside because he ain't moving that quick these days.
He probably ran through the that tunnel that we were sitting over at the United Center and no one came out of. That he probably came through there because he came from the opposite. He didn't come down the aisle. He came from the opposite side.
Yeah, he was somewhere close.
And folks, we're talking about the Obafemi Brock Lesnar kerfuffle that happened.
But that's the only thing that I think of is if you are starting to try and set this up as some sort of TKO versus WWE sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it would involve setting up Triple H as an on-air character. And that could go either way. Let's face it.
I will say this though. I feel like he's done a good job of throttling himself. He appears, but he doesn't overstay his welcome, and he kind of goes back into the background.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like he has a sense of balance when it comes to his presence, where he acknowledges his role, but he has his history as a character, and he kind of brings that in a little bit, but he doesn't overplay himself because I think. They did enough of that during the 2010s with the whole authority thing. And I think I get the sense he's trying to stay back, but bring himself in only when it really kind of needs to be done, And
that's why I say that like it would involve taking that next step. And I'm not sure that's something he wants to do. I think there's a reason why he hasn't really done that is I don't know that he feels comfortable like he wants to be back on air as a character. Either that or he's just been trying to stay off with the idea that eventually like it's probably going to happen.
The compelling part about what you're saying though is if they do that, it is interesting that Rock is on the board. He's leading creative and the two of them have a history anyways. And it's like Cody is Triple H's boy and Rock, could have like, let's say Roman, or it could be just Rock going in and doing his thing. Or maybe Rock is a lot, is behind Randy or
Rock
whatever.
Is behind whoever Triple H, whoever isn't Cody at this
point. Yes. And so that kind of has a very interesting, to me, if that's where they want to go with this, I think that's really interesting. It's a way of creating another variation on what we've seen before about the authority or about this, like we've seen this story play out before.
Oh yeah.
But to your point, it's playing on this meta kayfabe sort of thing of who's going to be the representative from management or, the overriding, owners of WWE. And now they turn it into WWE as kind of like the underdog trying to fight against their management or something like that. So I don't know. It's kind of, I will admit it's very interesting.
Yeah, and you could even have Rock borrowing from the $1 Million Man here, where it's like if you go ahead and beat Randy, I can find. You don't think I can find someone else who's willing to sell out for a shot at what I can give them?
Yep,
I have unlimited resources.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could be interesting. Of course, it's probably not going to happen, and we'll just be stuck with Pat.
So you already covered Triple H kind of coming out for the Oba Brock kerfluffle. There wasn't much to happen there. I think they've had 2 weeks of Oba, dominating Brock. They kind of kept them apart. Although I got to tell you something, last Monday night was not a good night for Adam Pearce.
No.
I mean, not only did Obafemi throw some of the and we all know by now, if you're smart to the business, when security shows up, that is a group of independent wrestlers who are just looking to get a little bit of TV time. Who's the trainer? That one guy Oba sent airborne was just like, dude, that was the bump of the week.
Who was that though? It was someone who's fairly good, and they tweeted out with a picture of the guy hurtling through the air. They're like,
yes,
please don't kill my students.
But the most interesting part, though, and actually there was a little bit of this during the Punk Roman thing too, is I think Roman got physical slightly with Adam Pearce, but Oba really got physical with Adam Pearce. So I'm curious if they're going to address that tomorrow night. Oh yeah, he did. He 100% face palmed him. So that'll be interesting. And what I find interesting too about Oba Brock is, of course, Heyman's interjecting himself like the real main event. I don't see it that way, but I do see it as probably, quite honestly, I think Oba Brock may start outshining Cody Randy at this point because fans so want to see Oba beat the shit out of Brock.
Wouldn't
You know
take
what I
much,
mean?
honestly.
No, I wouldn't. I would say it's almost at the level of Punk Reigns in terms of storytelling. I think they're doing as good a job as the Punk Reigns story is going. But honestly, that one is now outshining, I feel like, what is going to be the night one main event, which is Cody Randy. So last thing I didn't put on our outline but want to mention is love the idea of having Penta putting the Intercontinental title on the line in a ladder match with 5 other individuals. And I love his promo after the match he had with Kofi, where he talks about, I'm going to put my belt up, and he's like, that's my kingdom. You guys are going to fall. I mean, it was such a great way of kind of him setting up the whole thing of him being, Cero Miedo, no fear, all of that is like, I'm going to put my title on the line in this crazy match. I'm not worried because you guys, you're going to go up, but you're going to come crashing down. You're in my world, basically. And I thought that was just a great way for him to kind of set that match up. So I'm excited about that one. That ladder match is going to be good. It's going to be really good.
I love it in theory. I hate it in practice because I'm just like, it's going to be a cluster, and I'm just hoping everyone walks away with their spine intact.
Indeed.
Because it is, Penta's a little bit of a psycho. He's got a little Hardy in him, You
know what? He's a psycho though, but man, I have seen some, because I follow him on Instagram, and you see some of the reels of him with the kids and stuff like that, and you can tell like he is embracing in this phase of his career
I love him.
Fandom.
I love him, yeah.
Oh my God. Like he seems like such a nice guy.
Which is why I want him to stick around.
I know.
I don't want him to go out there and like shatter his pelvis. Like,
oh my gosh.
Stuff like that just makes me, I don't know.
And it gives me an appreciation too of guys like him who have spent, 2 decades, and Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan. There's a lot of guys who have toiled on the independent scene for a long time, who when they get to WWE and you see them break through and have this success, it's just so nice to see. Like I was exposed to Penta when he was in not Lucha Libre. What the heck was the Lucha Underground?
Yeah.
And he like mainly through the match or the angle he had with Vampiro, where he was, seeking out this dark. I mean, Penta in Lucha Underground was a very dark character, very dark. And they did this wonderful, wonderful thing with him where, and I say wonderful because it enhanced the darkness of his character, where he would wrestle guys, and then he would do this maneuver called the sacrifice, where he would basically, torque on their arm and seemingly break their arm.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys would disappear for like weeks because they were recovering with a broken arm. And it just, he just created this aura about him that was very dark. And then he had the whole thing. So anyways, to see him go from that sort of environment where he was wrestling these hardcore matches. I mean, the match with him and Vampiro, I mean, when they brought out like those halogen lights and they're cracking that. I mean, he did some insane stuff in his younger years, and to see him now in this less, I mean, he's still in a violent sport and he's still doing what he's doing, but it's not as crazy as crazy as it was when he was younger. Yeah. It's just nice to see him in this position now where he's a champion and he's, kind of doing his thing, and he's so beloved by the fans.
Yeah.
So,
and he deserves every bit of it. I hope he, I hope he sticks around the IC belt, for a little while, and hopefully that is a stepping stone, because this is a guy who, like, he should be like the next luchador after Rey Mysterio to be getting a shot. Like, he is that friggin' over. Like Paul Heyman was saying in Unreal, like, this guy, he's over like a mofo.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be foolish not to push this guy. And thankfully they're doing it. And
they did. And by the way, they did a wonderful job. I think part of it is they've done a wonderful job with his entrance music. Like, it is very distinct.
Yes.
When you hear that sound of a guitar plugging into the amp and
Yes.
shorting out a little bit. Everyone knows who that is.
Mhm.
And that guitar hits, and it's just like, we're off to the races, man. It's
Then you get the pyro, then you get the Sierra Mero, and then you get the spinning fireworks. Like, you get 2 shots of the pyro. It's like,
Yep.
Oh, it's
what I love. Oh, okay, so and I want to move on here. Maybe I'll drop one of the stories because we're running a little long here. But what I love about his entrances, and you just alluded to it, are the phases of it. So the first phase is the pyro goes off, and you get this close-up shot of his face where he's like, bah, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get phase 2, which is the pyro goes off again, the circle stuff, and his motion is circular, where he goes like this, and he does his woo, like that sort of thing. And then phase 3 is we move into the strut.
And then phase 4, he's like,
oh, he does the thing with the fans with his hand.
What is there not to love about this?
Like, it's so interesting to watch his entrance and see how perfect it is.
Yes.
And like, this guy connects because of, I mean, it, I'm not trying to make it like be an engineer and break it down like that, but those things are what make him so relatable, and why people connect with him is just the craziness at first of, seeing, the demonic nature of the character, then seeing almost like the borderline flair part of it. He's like, woo, part of it. And then that strut, like when he debuted and I saw him do that strut, I'm like, oh, because I don't remember him doing that when he was in AEW. Like I never saw him do that strut. Maybe I missed something, but I don't remember him doing that. And yet that is it's almost like the Oba thing, where he comes down with like that.
Yep.
So anyway, so I just he's such a trip to watch, and it's so fun. It's so fun to see someone like that who, because honestly, like we don't know the personal stories of these guys, but one thing I feel pretty confident saying, based on what I've read of a number of these guys, is, I mean, they really work their rear ends off in the independents, and that means long car rides. That means just a lot of toiling away to build up their persona and their standing and to get a shot. And so when you see guys like this make their debut and have the level of success that he's had, it's really cool to see. It's what, I think it's one of the reasons why I always connected with Punk, was because he had such a story like that, where he was such a big independent scene wrestler who just worked his way up, and it got to a point where it's like he could not be ignored. And part of it was because of Heyman. Heyman advocated quite a bit for him, as we've seen in the documentaries, to get in, at least to the kind of what was the lower levels of WWE, and then work his way up. But
they even wanted to fire him when he was in OVW.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I don't fire talent, I develop talent.
Yep.
He's like, he's going to be a future main eventer for you, and they're like, oh. Yeah.
Yes. So all right.
Okay. Are we moving on to our articles here?
We're going to move on to the articles. Do you need
a
respite?
I do, as a matter of fact.
All right.
Well, all right. Give me a minute.
3 days later.
All right. Well, moving away from the road to WrestleMania, which feels like the road from basically New Hampshire all the way to California. Or actually, I guess a literal drive from New Hampshire to Las Vegas.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically. We move into more Week in Geek territory, little bits and bobs from our sci-fi friends, although kind of the theme across these articles is sci-fi film shakeups. And so one of them is, you may have heard, a little movie called Project Hail Mary that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a little indie flick, huh?
Well, it is setting the world on fire. And from our friends at Collider.com, they call out the fact that this movie has now overtaken one of what they're calling the most influential genre blockbuster of the 21st century. I kind of agree. This movie has crossed the 177 million mark, which was set at one point by The Matrix. I believe this was. I think it's
just
also
the dollars.
Well, I think it's the time frame as well. I think their point is the movie has passed this mark. Let's see, the 177 million lifetime domestic haul of The Matrix. I think it's also considering time as well. That's how popular it is. I think folks, I think the fact it was obviously a popular book before it became a movie is also helpful. But what's interesting here is the directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. They were also the duo that was unceremoniously removed from Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yes, they were.
And then they went on to create in the animation domain Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then its sequel Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So it's kind of interesting that as we talked about like independent wrestlers and their journey, the fact that you have these two guys who have apparently stuck together even after a potential, I mean, I guess you could look at it as a failure along the way, or a speed bump, if you will, if you will.
Yeah.
But finding their way into success and to continuing to push forward, and even though they kind of, to quote the great Mo Green, make their bones in the animation space, to find their way into a story like this. And by the way, if you haven't seen Project Hail Mary, honestly, it is an absolute delight of a film. I know my wife and I have talked about this a little bit. Like, why is it so hard for Hollywood to not just create, come out with movies that are based on these sort of, original stories? Like we get a lot of reboots and a lot of remakes, and it's like, it's so refreshing to see a story like this play out, which has a really good heart to it as well. And I think that's part of the draw of this movie, is it's got a really positive message to it, a positive spirit to it, really, a lot of heart to it. And so, but yeah, this movie is doing well. It is, let's see, it needs to gross at least, 400 million worldwide to break even. But as things are looking right now, it's easily going to do that. There's even talk that it may very much challenge Dune Part 2's 715 million global haul, given the growth that it's going through right now and the way people are flocking to see it. So this article is just, talking through how, from a, like if you look at The Matrix as this groundbreaking movie that had an impact on our culture and society, how there are some parallels with Project Hail Mary in terms of its growth in comparison to it. And how quickly it is making money. So I don't know, sir, if you and the missus are looking to watch this anytime soon, or have read the book or anything like that. But
I read the book because I really enjoyed The Martian, both the book and the movie. And I read this one afterwards, and I got to be honest, I did not enjoy the book as much as I enjoyed The Martian. But that's also because at a certain point, I kind of got tired of like, oh, it's another character who sciences their way out of everything and kind of seems to, be able to do it all. And I don't know. I'm interested to see the movie just because I'm curious about how it translates to screen, and if maybe that character seems a little more palpable to me, palatable, I should say, to me on screen, as opposed to what I would imagined the character to be in my head as I was reading.
Yeah.
As for
do you feel like knowing that you've read the book, though, do you feel like Andy Weir, and I'm sorry, this is an unfair question because you probably read the book before you were aware of the casting and stuff. I'm reading the book actually right now, even though I've seen the movie already. I honestly feel like Andy Weir wrote this story for Ryan Gosling. Like the dialogue in the book, like I have Ryan Gosling's like voice in my head as I'm reading the dialogue. Like it fits very well with how he plays, not just plays the character, but just if I'm using past movies that he's been in and the way he kind of plays those roles, it feels very toned to him, or attuned to him. So I don't know, that's just my thought, but
no, I didn't get that at all. I mean, I read the book a couple of years ago.
Okay. Well, yeah, that would definitely do it.
I think as far as like why it's popular, I think because, well, I mean, number one, people have had a tough time getting back into going to the movies because I think there is a certain degree of superhero fatigue, thanks to, DC just tripping over its own feet since.
I'm glad you said feet.
Yeah, I was close. Since after, I can't remember if Wonder Woman or Aquaman was the last, which one came first, which one came last. The first Aquaman and first Wonder Woman. Ever since then, they haven't been able to do anything all that right. And before that, they didn't really do all that much right. It was, and then MCU kind of slipping. So you have that, and then you have there's a lot of corporatization going on. And it's kind of funny. I was talking with Kaylin about this after dinner last night, and she's been getting more into filmography and and the look of movies and filmmaking, and talks about how everything is Netflix lighting, and it is one of those things I never really thought much about until I saw side by side and the different color grading, and I'm like, oh, because everyone's kind of optimizing for what is going to look good streaming, and what is people are expecting from the movie once it gets onto a streaming platform, because that's the long tail now. It used to be like you'd get the theatrical release, and then the DVD was kind of like, or VHS back in the day, that was kind of your long tail to it. Now it's like, oh, it's all streaming, and everyone has this idea of what streaming it is now, so it's become its own thing, and now it's working its way there. And she was like, it's so terrible. But she's like, I watch a lot of these like short film directors and their stuff, and it's really cool. And this, I'm like, well, it's kind of what went back through in the 90s when you had filmmakers like Robert Rodriguez, like Kevin Smith, like you had Spike Lee, you had I forget who kind of the guy was who was before that, like with Eraserhead. But I mean, I was like, there was a lot of guys, there was a lot of folks then who were turning this whole thing on its head, and it influenced Hollywood in a huge way. That's how you got like Good Will Hunting. The only reason you get Good Will Hunting is because of that boom in indie, because they weren't making movies like Good Will Hunting. And in fact, like Kevin Smith was a producer on Good Will Hunting. Like the line is a straight line between the two.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then you look back at, back in the 70s, the whole reason that kind of George Lucas had to build ILM was because the studios had become much more corporate. It wasn't the family system that used to be, well, they love film. It was much more corporates and corporations. And like he even says in Empire of Dreams, like they're soft drink companies and executives, and they're doing market analysis. And he had to kind of go through and convince people and then build his own structure, because they'd closed all their own effects houses because they're trying to trim expenses. And we're going through that, and it's like there is this mentality in making movies right now where it's like, well, we have to make it profitable, so find an existing property, find something that people are already interested in, they kind of pre-buy it. And it's funny to be talking about this from a movie made out of a book that did fairly well, so it's not like it's a hot new property, but it's original enough now that it qualifies as like, oh my gosh, it's something actually worth going to the theaters for. And it shows what kind of how low that hurdle is now, because we're not that far off of Barbenheimer. Remember that whole thing? Barbie and Oppenheimer came out in the same summer, and people were doing that. So it's like the bar is really fracking low right now. And the funny thing is, like, comparing this to The Matrix, I find really interesting, because to me, it's like, okay, yeah, the money might line up. I wonder what the cultural impact will be. Is it almost going to be sort of like when we talk about Avatar now, where it makes all kinds of money, but then afterwards people are like, do you think about Avatar at all? Really? Unless like there's a new one coming out or someone happens to mention it. Like, is there anybody who's all that interested in the lore of Avatar? I don't know. So, I mean, I just find that part interesting. I'm not trying to slag on the movie. I'm just saying it makes me think of that.
I mean, I feel like one of the reasons it's resonating, and maybe it's just because of the state of the world, but the story is a story about how you can't, and Andy Weir said this, like his purpose was to say, science is not a one person show.
Yes.
It is multiple people working toward a common goal. And that is one of the themes and one of the, points of emphasis of this story is, it's not Ryan Gosling's character, but it's him plus, and I don't want to give anything away because I mean, we're 3 weeks into its run, but
well, they show the other character like in the first.
Yeah, but so it's him and another character. But what really stood out to me was not just the fact they work together to solve a problem, but it's the fact that when, he's on that return journey, he begins to realize, or let me say it this way. There's a point in the movie where his partner essentially saves him, and in his journey back, he realizes that his partner is in danger, and he makes a conscious choice to basically put himself into a no-win situation, the Kobayashi Maru choice, if you will.
Ah, look at you linking those up.
And goes back to help him, but that just kind of underscores the strength of the relationship. That it's not just about the achievement and the glory of the achievement. It's about the journey in that partnership and the relationship that develops, and the way that you find a connection with someone and care for them and want to do right by them. And I think that's something that we've lost, and I feel like that so I feel like there will be a cultural resonance, because I think that's why this movie is popular. I think the fact it's not giving birth to 6 more movies or 5 more movies or whatever the hell James Cameron wants to do with Avatar, it's just like, to me, Avatar is a gorgeous movie, has a great story to it, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's hollow. It's like I don't come away from that movie feeling like, wow, there's concepts from this that I really want to apply. You know what I mean? I think it's got a great story. And the very first movie has a very strong story about, the way that we look at, those the way that we look at differences in others, and how we treat them and how we process that. I think it has a great message there. I don't know that anything since then is really all that germane to that point, other than it's trying to tell a story where it gets its way around to all 4 elements, because that's the cute gimmick that he's doing. You know what I mean? Honestly, like, that's where I think he's going, is just trying to tell this story where they go around the planet, they get all the elements figured out, and ultimately everyone from Earth comes to this new planet and life continues on in this sort of beautiful hybrid way or whatever. But I just think the fact that this is that this story at its core is really about relationships, and the fact that the more people are involved in things working together toward a common goal, the more the greater the good comes out of it. And I think and so that's where I'm hoping there's more of a impact and more of a just an effect from it than just to your point, Avatar. So
yeah, let's do that as a society. Let's do that. By the way, here's hoping that we're not in World War III when this episode airs.
Amen and amen. However, having said that, our next article from our good friends at what is this, film.com?
I'm not even looking at the outline right now.
Battlestar Galactica. So I found an article that references BSG, which is really funny. Given that we're 20 years removed from the series.
Yeah.
But Battlestar Galactica's darkest episodes paid homage to the greatest sci-fi ending of all time. I don't know that I agree with that moniker of the greatest sci-fi ending of all time. I think it's one of the greats.
Okay.
But basically, this article talks about how, right out of the gate, the first sentence is, if you're going to rank the best movie endings ever, you have to have is italicized.
Oh,
indicating importance, apparently.
If they bolded this well, I mean, my goodness.
You have to include the conclusion to 1968's Planet of the Apes. Do you consider that one of the greatest sci-fi endings of all time?
I mean, it's a better twist than anything that M. Night Shyamalan has done since his first flick.
Look, we don't speak ill of M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, okay?
I will, because his movies are fracking terrible.
Are you? Come on now, they're not awful. Terrible is a strong statement. I disagree with you, sir, at a genetic level. I don't agree with that, and I disagree.
Okay, then our chromosomes can fight it out to the death. I would say, is that what chromosomes do?
I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Thinking more William Regal, European.
Wait a minute. Wait. I'm doing the body slap right there. I'm doing the chest slap.
Gotcha. Thank you for demonstrating that and also not taking out your microphone.
Well,
No, I'd say it's not the greatest. It is one of the greatest in that when they did it, it was such a twist that audiences did not see that coming. So it does kind of qualify,
Yeah.
But anyways, so what is
and
the
I am Star Wars well, wait a minute. I'm Star Wars biased.
Yes.
And it's not an ending.
Okay.
But it's close to the end of the movie when in Empire we find out that Vader is Luke's father. Like that to me,
but
it's not an ending. But damn, if that doesn't like have you walk out of the theater going like, what? Actually, I love what The Simpsons did when Homer walks out and he's like, I didn't realize Vader was Luke's father, and everyone's like, oh, they were just like, horrified by the fact he like just spoiled that. So
I feel like I needed a roadmap to follow you around on that. We went the Apes, Empire to The Simpsons all within like 30 seconds.
Bam.
So I find it interesting that you're making the case for a great ending that isn't the ending of the movie, that is the middle of a trilogy. So it's not even the ending of the trilogy. It's not even the sub ending to the ending of the trilogy. It's the sub ending to the ending of the end of the middle of the.
Just stop it. Just stop it.
I don't even know how to sketch out that.
Let's reel this in a little bit. So we're talking about BSG. We're talking about the episode Revelations, season 4, episode 10, when they believe they have found Earth and they descend upon it. I remember, I don't know if it was this episode or a different one, but I just remember there was one episode you watched, and I was not watching the series at the time, but I remember this because it just cracked me up when you wrote it you posted on Facebook, and you're like, "That's it, we're all Cylons." And I think it was this episode because what ends up happening is they in this particular one, they land on Earth thinking they have found their salvation to this journey they've been on. And what they find, so this is, of course, the rumored 13th planet of, the
13th colony, yeah.
Or the 13th colony, thank you, that they found. And they believe they are now, their journey has come to an end. They're going to settle here. And then the end of this episode, which is really just a gut punch of all gut punches, is right away. You see, I forget if it was the Admiral or if it was, I think it was the Admiral who picks up a clump of dirt, and all you hear is the Geiger counter that they have going off, indicating that there is radiation permeating through the land. And the camera just pulls back, and it starts with him picking up the sand. You see what he's doing. You start to see other characters. They're just looking around with this very forlorn look. And then it pulls back and it pulls back, and you just see this city, the skyline that is just a ruins, like very much indicating a nuclear holocaust has happened, and that this planet is not habitable, basically. And so I think what this article is just talking about is how one of its darkest episodes in many ways paid homage to this Planet of the Apes ending, when you come to realize that, he is not on a different planet, but he is in fact on Earth in the future where mankind has fallen. And of course that happens because you end up, Charlton Heston's character, George Taylor, discovers the remains of the Statue of Liberty. And of course he falls in complete despair because he realizes that he's on this future version of Earth where, society has just fallen apart and civilization has fallen apart, and now it is truly the Planet of the Apes. And so
well, and the reason for that being that they nuke the planet
because they nuke the planet, right?
And
100%.
And I mean, I
that was a bold choice for them to do that in BSG, because that was the payoff, right? Like, here's our goal, we've reached the goal. Let's go down and check it out. And sure as hell, they go down there, and now it's like, what do we do?
Well, because then the thing about BSG was, and what I was leading to, and I said, what was the darkest episode? Because there's a lot to choose from. I mean, the
one that comes after may be the darkest episode, because that's the one where Dee, who was
Yes.
very much the hope of the show, that
Yeah.
was rough. That was a rough freaking ending. Oh my
that
God.
shook me for a couple days. Like, it is still to
Yeah.
this day one of the only times that a fictional character's death has hung with me for a long after.
Yeah.
Totally unexpected. But yeah. There's a lot to choose from when you're dealing with BSG, because of course you have the Holocaust of the opening miniseries, then followed, the button on the miniseries is that essentially Adama makes up that they're going to Earth and that he knows how to get there. And so that the entire thing is a lie to begin with. Yeah. And then they actually managed to, oh my gosh, this is a real thing. And along the way, you have New Caprica, all the stuff that happened there, lest we forget that was pretty dark.
Yep.
You have everything going through the radiation storm. I mean, there's a ton of episodes that are just like bleak. And then you finally get to here. And literally after that, it's like, just what do we do? And that next episode is like, there is just people sitting around. Everyone's comatose and catatonic and just like, what's the point? Yeah. It's, I mean, if anything, the ending of that episode is probably the happiest that we see anything for a little while, because at least then you just see people just staring off into the distance with a look on their face that basically says, well, shit. Because after that, then it gets even darker. I mean, like you said, oh my gosh.
Well, and one thing this article kind of points out, which I didn't realize, was in Revelations, because it does talk about sometimes a great notion, that Kara Thrace in that episode goes looking for a beacon, and Leoben warns her, and Leoben is a very kind of prophetic character, warns her that you may not like what you find. And what the article points out is this is exactly what Dr. Zaius warns Heston's character, Taylor, in Planet of the Apes, before he goes off into basically goes off and adventures into the Forbidden Zone, ultimately finding the Statue of Liberty. And now, of course, in Kara's case, she ends up finding the charred remains of what I believe is her body with the dog tags on it. Coming to the realization that even though she's there, she's something different than what she was before. One other interesting point is, so the episode that follows Revelations, which is called Sometimes a Great Notion, that's the one where we get Dee's end, unfortunately, was the last Battlestar Galactica episode written before the 07-08 Writers Guild strike. And Ronald D. Moore, in an article with, I guess, Chicago Tribune in 2009, says the episode was actually filmed during the early days of the strikes, meaning no rewrites could take place. So they actually wrote that episode and then ran with it, could not rewrite it in any way, shape, or form because of the strike that was going on. And there were concerns that BSG would be canceled if the strike went on too long. So per Moore, the cast and crew made Sometimes a Great Notion knowing it might be their last. Thus the characters' somber moods were all too real. Members of the cast and crew have similarly said that Revelations and Sometimes a Great Notion could have served as a series finale if the show had indeed been canceled. But then, of course, the strike ends in February of 2008. And so Revelations aired the following June. Fans knew more was coming. And so, we know how the series ends. But that's some very interesting history there that, wow,
For two folks who have spent a lot of time poring over and chatting about this, like that is a new way that I'm going to have to go back and watch those episodes.
Indeed. Should we do another rewatch of the series and maybe do some episodes that are slightly, not the way we did it before, but maybe a different approach. I don't know.
You mean shot for shot describing each episode?
Act 1, Scene 1. Good
Fade
God
in.
Almighty.
A pair of high heels is clacking across the deck.
You know, I guess in a way we did do this when we did the bracketology around. I think we spent one March ranking the best episode of BSG of all time, which was probably another way of doing it. But, you know, just for the sake of going back to it and
how early were those episodes?
milking that gimmick one more time, you know? Who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
Let's see. I actually just closed the outline because I clicked the wrong button.
There's a good idea.
Yeah. All right. Our next article, moving on from BSG. Anything else on that one?
No, I'm actually going back to all of our episodes, and I'm trying to see when we did
The BSG bracket.
BSG. Let's see here.
I'm guessing it was 2023.
Wow.
That's my guess.
Oh, I wasn't going for I'm going for like the original ones.
Oh, the original ones were very early on, probably 2020. If I had to guess.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow, Pod by Night. The Rush special.
When was that one? Was that 2020?
That was episode 19. Wow. So 2019. Oh, wow. We went episode 4. Our favorite episodes from Battlestar Galactica season 1. Episode 4, ladies and gentlemen.
We didn't wait long.
And then 5 was season 2.0. We took a break and we did a 2.5 was episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
Then we took another break. Episode 9 was season 3. Took another break. Episode 11 was 3.5. Oh my good God. And then of course,
I remember we did a 2-parter on Daybreak alone.
Then we had Brady Geddon hit, and then Rise of Skywalker.
Didn't we do like 4 Brady Geddon episodes for crying out loud?
Oh yeah, we did. When did we get back to BSG? Because that's only the first couple seasons. We've got WTF BSG for episode 18.
Okay.
Brady Geddon Part 2 is episode 20. Then we got into Westworld.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Wow. So yeah,
I really wish you'd watch Stranger Things because I think we could actually do some pretty fun episodes.
No.
I know you're not. I'm not trying to push you.
That ship has sailed. Just like that ship has sailed with your Swords and Wizards show and dragons and so forth.
Game of Thrones?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one I can live with. I think you are severely
I
underestimating.
love how now you say you can live with that. At the time, you harangued me, harassed me about that.
Fine, but Stranger Things. No. Stranger
you
Things.
Son of a bitch, just hand waving that way with.
I legitimately think.
I swear
These
to
are not the droids you're looking for.
This is such an abusive relationship. I just can't figure out who's the abuser and who's the abusee. It's like we switch back and forth. I don't.
Fair enough. We do.
I'm so confused.
I'm confused as a baby raccoon.
And by the way, I didn't say it earlier, but the Germans ain't got nothing to do with it.
I know. All right. I think I'm going to skip the Mando article is kind of a bit
Probably a good idea at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm going to skip that. All right, let's jump down to our last one, which is
good.
All right, from our friends at loudersound.com. That's right, we've added to the portfolio, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Hold on to your headphones. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, what is this? Pound Cake 5150?
This is not.
Something?
No, this is a story of how Huey Lewis and the News became connected to Back to the Future.
Oh, I love me some Huey Lewis in the News. I'm
absolutely.
an unapologetic fan.
Absolutely. And basically, this was a story of a talking into that Huey needed to actually do this. He was reticent. He was a bit like, nah, at first. And it took a little bit of Spielberg and Zemeckis and Gale to work their magic to get him to agree. Basically, the way he kind of tells the story, He says, we were playing in L.A. when Spielberg requested the meeting, so we had lunch, and they said they'd written a movie called Back to the Future and decided their hero, Marty McFly's favorite band, would have been Huey Lewis and the News. So how would we like to write a song for the film? And he goes on to talk about how, based on that conversation and just, subsequent conversations after that, finally gets talked into it. He was armed with only a very sketchy knowledge of the film's plot, followed the antics of Michael J. Fox as a time-traveling teenager. Lewis set to work with their guitarist, and, Chris wrote the progression and gave it to me on tape for Power of Love. And, he goes on to talk about how, like, we knew very little about what the film was about. And when you listen to it, he's like, if you actually read the lyrics of Power of Love, he's like, they really don't have a lot to do with the core of the movie.
No.
Now, one thing he says that is kind of strange is he says, I knew it was, this is Huey Lewis. He says, I knew it was a good song, but I didn't actually think it was going to work for him because it had nothing to do with the film. It was actually a love song, and Marty McFly had no love interest to speak of. Now, that's not true because he had his girlfriend in the 80s. Now, again, the point of the movie wasn't him pursuing a love interest. It was him trying to get back to his time. But Huey's point is, when we wrote this song, it really was very disconnected from the point of the movie. And again, Power of Love is a great song and has a very great theme to it. But if you listen to that song, it does not connect you to that movie. You know what I mean? Other than the fact that it's in the movie. No. So, so he mentioned that they did a demo. He sent it to them. They loved it. They called back immediately, say it was fabulous. When we, he said, when we actually finished and mixed it, they flew up to see us. I think it was Zemeckis, Michael J. Fox, and a small entourage. As it turns out, Zemeckis liked Power of Love so much, he insisted it should be the song Marty McFly's school band played during an audition scene, which we're all familiar with, or most of us. And that Lewis would play a cameo as a teacher who fails them for being too loud, as we are all familiar with. And Huey Lewis says, I was reluctant to do the scene because I thought it was a kid's movie, and we were quite popular at the time. We had a bunch of hits, so I had no desire to do it, but Zemeckis called me into it, or talked me into it. We agreed I'd do a cameo if I was disguised and uncredited, so they made this part up for... So they basically made the part we see Huey Lewis play was solely made up for him. And we filmed it in a matter of hours at a high school gym. And he says it's funny because in the movie, the bit where he's playing the song is actually a copy of our original demo, just with a kind of off-the-wall guitar solo. So if you remember, when Marty plays the song, or his band plays the song, he kind of goes off into this guitar solo that is not really part of the actual, like, finalized version of Power of Love. It was just kind of this, like, off the cuff thing.
And it's like, like an incredible, like, ultra guitar wank thing. Like, it's not even really great musically at all. It's like just some kid trying to show off, which is 100%. And he was saying that was actually our demo of that song. And that's the backing track that Marty mimes to before I stop and tell him it's too loud. And he goes on to say Michael J. Fox is a good guitarist. So now what's interesting in this article is they don't bring up the second song. They did a second song, which I forget the title of it. It's Back in Time.
Back in Time. So he doesn't talk about that at all. He only talks about Power of Love.
Which does actually follow this kind of the tale of the movie.
It does, yes. Yes. But he goes on to say how the band then put together the Back to the Future soundtrack for the whole album. Power of Love was on it. There were only 2 or 3 songs on it, and the rest was source music. It was a very loud... So Huey Lewis says it was a very lousy album. I think it sold 500,000 copies, so we never actually made any huge money from the song, but it didn't bother me. I find that hard to believe. Like, Power of Love was played everywhere. Like, that song was, like, freaking viral for...
It was, but at the same time, like, I'm sure the album itself, as opposed to singles, because at the time, remember, you could go out and you could buy a cassette single.
Yeah.
Or at this point, you could probably still buy 45s because that was still a thing. So you could go out and pay like a couple bucks, or at that time, I mean, even cassette singles were $1.50 or something. Like, you could go out and buy that, just get the song and the B-side, or you go out and buy the whole album where you're like, I don't know if I want the whole. I don't want a soundtrack. I just want that one song.
Yeah.
But yeah, Power of Love was huge. And actually, was Power of Love on any of their albums?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Hang on a second. Let me try and Google foo this. What Huey Lewis
Google
album?
foo? Goofoo? Goofoo? I don't know.
Let's see here. Power of Love, written for the soundtrack, was released as a single and became the band's first #1 hit in the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. Their second #1 hit in the U.S. mainstream rock chart. Blah blah blah. The song is included in the is included alongside Back in Time on the film's soundtrack, and appears as a bonus track on international editions of the band's fourth album, studio album 4. So
interesting.
That is interesting. So it doesn't appear it ever appeared on an actual true Huey Lewis album.
Yeah,
I thought it did sneak in somewhere. Wow, that is cool because like you say, that song was everywhere at the time.
I mean, Power of Love was huge. Now, to Huey Lewis's point, they let me look up their
and as well it should be. It's a great tune.
Yeah. So, okay, so in '83 they released Sports, and that album was really what brought them to prominence, and I think was one of the things that probably led to Spielberg and Zemeckis wanting them to do that song, because the band at that point I think was uber popular, like sport. And again, ladies and gentlemen, back in the '80s, we did not have Spotify, we did not have YouTube.
No.
So the only way you could hear, all we had was the radio and
MTV. Let's not forget
radio, MTV, and cassette tapes, and the ability to record music from the radio to those cassette tapes. Like that was the only way we could get like on demand listening.
Although it was kind of difficult to record from your radio to your tape deck.
If you had a stereo that, and I don't know when they came out in the '80s, but like for example, I got a stereo probably in the late '80s that basically had the radio part, but I could record on cassette if the radio was playing.
Oh, you had one of them fancy ones, because mine didn't do that. But then again, I think I had like a Sound Design.
I did not have a fancy one, by the way. It was
because that was like all the rage back at that time. Was like you had the all-in-one.
I did buy it from Service Merchandise. I'll say that much.
Of course you did, because you're a loyal company man.
I am.
But
Sports.
That's
that was huge for them.
Oh, Sports and it's a good album too.
Or sorry, and buying the cassette or the album was the other way that you could on demand hear it, obviously, other than recording it off the radio. So my only point is it wasn't as available as music is to those of us now. So
and there is a sizable gap between Sports and 4, which is the follow-up.
There was.
So it was 83 to 86. But of course, between there, I mean, Huey Lewis and the News, when they were recording in the 80s, they were a touring band. Those guys toured their ass off. So it's not all that surprising that 3 years goes by, because they probably played about 1,000 shows in between there.
Yeah, absolutely. But just a interesting story of how they came to be or came to further prominence than they already were through this happenstance conversation between them and the movie's leading principals.
Very interesting. Well done,
interesting
sir.
Indeed. Thank you.
Well, now what are we? We're good. We're wrapping this up. Just want to make sure I don't want to step on any toes. All right. Then what have you got for and another thing, sir? Recommendation for our viewers and our listeners.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have Peacock, I would highly recommend, if you did not watch it live last night, April 4th, to go watch the SNL episode with Jack Black and Jack White, the two extremes of Jack.
Jack Gray.
Just a great episode all around. Jack Black bringing such energy and just the sketches themselves. I'm not going to sit here and say like there were some classics that came out of this episode, but Jack Black just brings an energy and just a presence into these sketches that sometimes is lacking, and I just really appreciate, like what he does as part of that. Jack White, he had two songs that apparently he released either Thursday or Friday of the prior week. So what would that put us at? Probably like April 2nd or 3rd. Called Derecho Demonico and God and the Broken Ribs. Perform both of those on SNL, and just, I mean, every time he's on that show, and if you are a fan of Jack White, you know what he does live. He is just such a prolific performer. Does an amazing job, and just blows you away with the performance. Does a phenomenal job. He actually had a couple really funny spots too. Jack Black's monologue was kind of a sketch in a way of kind of the Five Timers Club rundown, and they do kind of a spoof on Seven Nation Army, tying it into the Five Timers Club and all that sort of thing, because it was both Jack Black's 5th time hosting and Jack White's 5th time performing on the show. And they do this really funny bit with Seven Nation Army that you've got to see. But Jack White's musical performance with his band is just unreal. Derecho Demonico is a very bluesy song. God and the Broken Ribs is very much a kind of rumbly rock and roll song. And I'm just blown away by Jack White. He just always brings a creative flair to what he does. And this episode really kind of, highlights that and shows that. So I would highly recommend the April 4th SNL episode. I don't have the number, and it's season 51. I don't know what episode, but just look for Jack Black and Jack White, and definitely check it out on the Peacock, because it is so good. Sketches are funny, music is insane, and just a really solid episode all around. So do check that out. What, sir, is your end another thing?
Well, you kind of made me change mine up on this one.
Look at that.
Originally, I had other plans, but now I'm going to recommend to our viewers and listeners to go and head on over to the YouTubes and check out live versions of the Huey Lewis and the News songs that the man they call Tim was talking about, Back in Time and Power of Love, both of which I believe were recorded in either San Francisco or Oakland back in the 80s.
Wait a minute, Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Oakland, Oaktown. Come on.
The Tower of Power Horns, who are also, I believe, featured on the album versions of these songs. Because I don't know if they were on. I don't think they were in Sports, but on 4 and Small World, Tower of Power Horns were front and center, to the point of Huey Lewis covered a Tower of Power song for one of those albums. But this is great just because this was during a very kind of low period for Tower of Power, when they were not really doing well. There's a lot of substance abuse issues in the band. I mean, it's the 80s. The white marching powder was in full effect everywhere in the music business.
Coke was everywhere, and we ain't talking about the soda.
Yeah. So TOP getting to go out on tour or do shows with Huey Lewis, and also just getting put on albums, kind of ended up leading to them in many ways, kind of the resurgence of the band and them getting a new record deal, because they did not have a record deal, I think, after the early 80s. And then they kind of started to bounce back after that. So this kind of features a classic-ish, if you're a fan of the band like me, this features kind of a weird classic version of this horn line, because of course you have Emilio Castillo on tenor saxophone and the funky doctor Stephen Kupka on baritone sax, the two founding members of Tower Power, the mainstays. You also then have on the other tenor saxophone, where is he? Here he is, Richard Elliott, who's only with the band for one album. However, he was with the band for their Power album, which also features one of their highest charting songs, and also one of their only music videos. It was for the song Credit. This also features Greg Adams and Lee Thornburg on trumpets. I believe Lee Thornburg then went on to become a mainstay of David Letterman's band when he went over to what was it, CBS? I forget where he got away from NBC.
He went from NBC to CBS. Yes.
Yeah, so he was a mainstay with that band for a really long time. So it's kind of this weird, because then the horn line would change a little bit. I believe Richard Elliott was only there for that, and then there was a new horn player who I can't remember his name, new tenor sax player, when they recorded Monster on a Leash, which was their album after this, which was kind of the beginning of their renaissance, if you will. But it's great because with these live versions, you really get a feel for, oh my gosh, Huey Lewis and the News was a kick-ass live band.
Yeah.
Musically, but also showmanship wise. Like, they got their steps down, they kind of got their stage moves down. You're like, Huey Lewis is kind of a very underrated frontman in terms of rock bands. You know, he doesn't get nearly enough credit. The dude's got pipes, and he put on a show. He engaged the audience, did everything you want. Then you add Tower of Power 5-piece horn section backing him up. Like, this, I would contend, is a powerhouse rock and roll band that, man, we should have gotten a lot more from this. But still, if you go back and you listen to the albums from the 80s, it's not too bad. But yeah, go check out Back in Time and Power of Love. Huey Lewis in the News featuring the Tower of Power horns. You will not be disappointed.
Very nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is about it for Week in Geek Wednesday. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. We so appreciate your listener and viewership. Go to freerangeedc.com. You can find all of our episodes there, as well as tuning in via the Podbean app. You can also find us on Pine 5. What?
I have a question.
What?
Since you're talking about our listenership and the fact that over this week we exceeded 9.3 thousand or 9,300 downloads.
Yes.
Where do we get the surge from? Do we have a particular country or set of countries? Or?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me.
I'm just asking. Not that we're tooting our own horn, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is just more to.
You wanted to. I mean, I gotta say, so let's say,
just want to acknowledge
over the last month, for the most part, our listeners have been from the U.S. of A., which makes sense since we're talking about a lot of stuff that has to do with the U.S. of A. However, after that, we have listeners in Germany, Spain, Italy, France, Australia, Brazil, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Chile, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Finland, India, and Tunisia.
Jeez. Wow.
Worldwide, baby.
We're going worldwide. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So you can find us on fine podcasts.
I was thanking our listeners, not you.
Well,
thank you for looking that up, but thank our listeners.
And you're damn straight. You can find us on fine podcast purveyors everywhere, such as Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, all the others. Go ahead and search for Free Range EDC. You're bound to find us. You can also find full video episodes on our Spotify stream as well as our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@FreeRangeEDC or just search Free Range EDC, and you'll find us. Also, we are on the social medias at Facebook and Instagram at Free Range EDC for those as well. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or ideas for stuff for us to yap about, send those to tim@freerangeedc.com. We take all suggestions. We can't guarantee we'll do them, or unless you attach a little something, some Bitcoin perhaps, and then we'll damn sure make sure we do it because we're not above a bribe. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to send this back over to the man who runs the Wednesday version of this show, the man they call Tim. Why don't you take us home on this one, sir, if you will?
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
Thank you. I'm going to do something a little different here and say not just to the interwebs.
What? Whoa! Wait! You can't be changing things up here. I don't have notes.
I can and I will, sir. This is my end segment here.
You're messing up my arrangements.
Well, okay there, Mr. Sal Tessio. To the interwebs.
It's not Sal, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's right, because it's Tom. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Excuse me for that. What the hell is he talking about? All right. Anyways,
Bob. Proceed.
To the interwebs and to Pat McAfee, we say, you suspect. We don't know. Well, we do know your reputation in this town. But after what you tried to pull today, or really Friday, you'll bet we'll be looking into you. And to our listeners, the good people who take the time to hear us, good day, ladies and gentlemen. And until that day comes, keep it to the grindstone.
You're messing with my Zen thing, man.
Yeah.
Just herky-jerky, just all over the place with that one.
I am not. I think it was very clear
like-
what the message was there.
You like an old man having a pee at 3 a.m. without turning the lights on. You're
Come on.
everywhere.
Just stop it.
Someone bring in a mop.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Now get the hell out of here!